You could be right and I could be wrong. We could just fight and we could be strong. You could be right and I could be wrong. We could just fight and we could be
This is
strong.
Bridge the Gap with Mark and Dave, the program that seeks for the truth no matter where it is found.
There's a God. There is something out there. I already know this. I've known this my whole life. And I've made every effort at times to get there, jumpstart that journey.
Now, your mom passed away when you were younger, and you were there by her side.
Mm-hmm.
How does that factor into any of this? Or does it? Because we know each other pretty well. We've had a lot of discussions over the last 4 years. So I know kind of some of the things that you think about. Mm-hmm. And, I'm just kind of trying to draw that out a little bit so that you can, share that with us. And if you don't feel comfortable talking about it, that's fine too.
No, it's fine. I mean, death's a part of every day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're born and we die. I mean, that's just the way it is. I've accepted that.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, it sucked when she died. I was sad for a long time. I still get moments like, man, I wish my mom was here. I was just thinking about going up and seeing her, going and visiting her grave a couple days ago, because it's been a little while since I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I was like this before and I've been like this since. My mom, she was a part of who I am. Obviously, she brought me into the world. She raised me. She loved me. She was a good woman. She was pure. And I look forward to seeing her again, but that doesn't factor into my day to day. When I think about, my own struggles and what I'm going through and what I'm seeking and what I'm wanting and what I'm needing. No, she's not a big part of that at all.
Okay. Yeah. It's fair. You've also talked to me before, and I want to know what your truth is. You get to say it how you say it, right? I don't want to put words into your mouth, but you've talked about devils and demons and experiences with those. So you believe they're real?
Yeah, I do.
And why do you believe that?
Well, I've seen them. I felt them, that's what's funny about my story is that, it's like I don't make any effort to contact the dark side, what as people term, just for lack of a better term, the dark side. I don't make any effort to reach out into that area, but that area has reached out into my life, several times. I can think of the most powerful one is the very first time it happened. People talk about sleep paralysis, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, it's the science tries to explain it away as this or that or this or that. But, they don't know. They don't know unless you've experienced it firsthand.
Well, and for the listener, maybe we could explain what science explains.
They just say it's just the way I understand what they say, and I just dismiss it. It's garbage to me because I lived it several times. I've lived through it. It's just a phenomenon of the cerebral cortex. It's just your brain, waking up. Your body's in that state of
disconnected, where your brain's not quite reconnecting with the body, for a lack of scientific words.
Right,
here.
And you can't move your body because your body's in that safe
fully
mode.
Conscious.
But you're fully conscious and aware. But their explanation doesn't make sense. I've talked to psychiatrists about it. I've met with them. Brought this up specifically. I don't know what that is. I've heard some of them say, "Oh, well, that's just a theory." I've heard them say, or some of them flat out, I've never even heard of sleep paralysis,
I've heard of it and I've read about it. I don't have a quote to go over, but I totally understand that science has an explanation for why people become paralyzed and cannot move while they're awake.
Yeah. And it makes sense.
And this is your experience. You've had sleep paralysis.
And many times.
And yet you don't believe that it is what science says it is.
No. No.
So what is it to you?
It's the intent behind it. It's hard to say. Maybe there's entities out there that get their life force from causing fear, and they drain that energy from you. You know, I've heard that tossed around in the sleep paralysis community. It could be gray aliens coming down and you're actually being abducted, but you're in this frame of mind that you're not seeing what's really happening, or it's just to cause fear and panic. And the dark side, again, for lack of a better term, gets enjoyment out of causing fear and those types of feelings.
And for the listeners' benefit that don't know what sleep paralysis is and have never experienced it, it's usually accompanied by experiences from demons and stuff that are binding people.
Sure.
So they can't move. Mm-hmm. Something from the supernatural world is entering their space and holding them down. Yeah. So they can't move, right?
Exactly.
Binding them.
Science explains it as your body wakes up, or your mind wakes up, you're conscious, your eyes open, but you can't move because your body's in safe mode to prevent you from acting out your dreams. That's what science says. So you don't get up and walk off a cliff, you know, thinking you're going to get a drink of water in your dream. And sure, that can make sense.
Sure.
But this goes back through every culture. Thousands of years ago, I mean, people have been experiencing this, and it used to be associated with the succubus, you know, sitting on your chest and crushing you, black cats, you know, the incubus, you know, same thing, male, female, demons being raped, sexually assaulted, people experiencing anal probes, you know, as from alien abduction. I mean, there's so many accounts and so many different things, but like you said, to me, I have been in my dreams. And I have acted out my dreams when I'm supposed to not be able to, like, I'll fling an arm up in the air and it'll wake me up. I'm, oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. You know, if that was truly the case where your body truly shuts down to prevent you from doing things, why do I wake up like that sometimes? You know, why do I jerk awake? You know, how does that happen? It doesn't make sense to me.
So to you, there's a difference. Sometimes you actually do have the ability to move and your body's not protecting you from that.
Yeah.
But other times you can't move. And I guess what you're getting at here, correct me if I'm wrong, but why is it sometimes I'm paralyzed and other times I'm not?
Exactly. And when I've had these attacks, I've been completely paralyzed. I've been I mean, I can move my eyes and I can make funny noises, you know, and struggling to vocalize. Mm-hmm. That's it. Mm-hmm. You know, but what comes with that is this feeling of impending doom. I mean, like the most evil thing possibly ever is in the same room as you. And you feel that. Mm-hmm. You feel it in every part of you, inside, outside, down to your, you know, atoms in your body. I mean, you feel that fear. Mm-hmm. And it overcomes you. Man, before I understood what it was, before I knew what I was experiencing, before I'd had the experiences a few times, I thought it was the ultimate form of torture and death.
You know somebody else that claims to have had that experience too, that's famous or infamous, depending on your perspective. But Joseph Smith, prior to receiving the first vision, said that a dark force came about him and bound his tongue so that he could not speak. And he felt as though he was going to be destroyed before he called on the light. And then, you know, Jesus Christ and God the Father descended in a pillar of light after having that, dare I say, sleep paralysis experience.
Well, I've actually been able to do that, to say, you know, as best as I can, Jesus, help me, or in some way, you know, or something similar to that, and it ends just like that. It stops.
So I'm curious, how does that, do you think that that's what Joseph Smith had?
I've thought about that, and the way I understand the Joseph Smith story was that he was kneeling in prayer when it happened, right? So as far as that goes, I've always been awakened out of sleep when this has happened. I've never been awake
praying or
washing the dishes or
when it's
anything
happened
and having it happen.
Okay.
Time of day doesn't matter, but I've always been asleep. But everything beyond that, I can definitely relate to. Your tongue's bound. You can't move. Darkness surrounds you. I mean, so much so that I remember the first time, again, going back to that first account, that I was in a dark room and, you know, just like you would, there's no lights on inside or outside. But yet there was something even darker in my room. Wait, okay, so when I came home, I was 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the things they talk about that you experience in sleep paralysis. I was awake at one for the very first one. I'd forgotten about this. I came home, it's 3 or 4 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Been out with friends and sneaking in my house. You know, my parents know I'd been out so late. And I came in and I saw that same darkness in the shape of a large man standing 20 feet away from me.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't move, didn't say anything, just breathing is all I heard. Heavy, deep breathing. So I did experience it one time, and I thought it was my dad. Like, he was so mad he's not going to talk to me, but then that fear hit me, and I was pushed to my knees.
Mm-hmm.
So I did have, and it went away. It only lasted about a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But I did have one where I was actually awake. I've never put that together till now.
Just forgot about it until now.
Yeah, but there's this darkness associated with it, and you see things, you hear voices. They've hit me before.
Mm-hmm.
I've been hit in the back.
Hmm.
Like whap, like somebody trying to get your attention.
Do you remember one time when I gave you a blessing? You had asked for a blessing, remember? And then you respectfully declined and changed your mind.
Yeah.
And we went back and forth for about a month. I don't know, maybe you went 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
It was always an open ticket, but you weren't sure if you were ready, but you really felt as though you were possessed.
Yeah.
Or just being inflicted by demons, and you thought maybe a blessing might help you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we ended up going over to somebody else in the ward's house, and you were having a trouble just relaxing.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Do you remember that? And
Yeah.
I didn't see anything, but prior to the blessing, you kept looking up at the top of the stairs and saying, he telling me to not go through with it.
Yeah.
You were looking at something up at the top of the stairs that was threatening you.
Mm.
Tell me about that experience.
So I remember it. I remember saying to you, let's do the blessing many times, several times, and then backing out.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're talking about specifically, it was as soon as we walked in, we weren't the only ones that walked in. It's not anything I can say, I saw this thing. You just felt it. I knew it was there. I felt it. I knew it was there. And it wasn't imparting words to me as much as thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd start talking, with you and the other gentleman that was there, and we were speaking about, the blessing and why I was needing it. And every so often I would just feel this wave of just darkness, from up there. And it would cause me to look, it's just like when you see something out of the corner of your eye, you look. There was never anything there, but it felt like that's where it was at. And it was telling me the whole time to leave.
Mm.
That's the impression I kept getting. You need to leave. Don't do this. You need to leave. Don't do this. You need to leave. But it was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the other gentleman was oblivious.
Mm-hmm.
Even when it was brought up, he's like, there's nothing here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you felt anything or, sensed anything, but it feels like that's been on my back for a long time.
That specific experience?
Yeah.
You've been carrying that for a while?
Long time. Yeah, long time.
Yeah.
Long time. But that's what I'm saying.
So you experience these things and you don't really bring them up again, and you don't talk about them very much.
No, it's because it seems pointless.
There's another experience that you shared with me. You don't mind if I bring it up? I hope. If you don't, then we'll delete it.
No, you're good. You
told me that you had a time where they were mocking you. Some black spirits, I'll call them. This is your experience. I want you to say it in your words, but I'll just prick your memory. They were like, we're going to mess with you. Remember that?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
I was in bed with Ben and Isaac. They were really young, 3 and 5. No, they were a little older, 6 and 8.
Hmm.
And I was living in Brigham City at the time. I had my own apartment. And can I use the exact words, or should I leave the colorful metaphor out?
Bleep, bleep.
Okay. So I'm laying in bed, half asleep, half awake,
This is a family show.
Yeah.
I don't.
Sorry, kids. And all of a sudden, I mean, I used to sing songs to them and tell them stories, I'd make up stories. Every night it was story time. You know, I always had to come up with new stories. And eventually they would fall asleep one at a time. Ben was usually the longest, you know. And but they were both on my arm, so both their heads. Ben was towards my hand and Isaac was more towards my shoulder. And I was just about falling asleep, and it hit, the sleep paralysis. It hit, and you feel it coming before it comes. You got a split second or two before. It's like a fan that gets something stuck in it. You know, the fan's whirring, and it's like, and it starts. And so I knew immediately what was happening, and I made a conscious choice because I could have looked, because they came, whatever was there, and there was two of them, because I heard two separate voices. I could have looked, but I didn't want to look, because I thought if I acknowledged them, visually acknowledge them and see them, that it would just make it worse for me. And I think they knew that. They're not dumb. And because all I had to do was just look to the right. I mean, that's all it would have taken, was just me to shift my eyes to the right. But I stayed focused on Ben and Isaac. And so 10, 20 seconds go by and I'm feeling this. And the fear starting. And I'm starting to worry, well, Ben and Isaac are in here. Oh my gosh, they better not affect them. So as soon as I started to think that way, I heard one of the voices say, let's F with them. And the other one said, yeah, it'll work this time. And it was the most horrific tickling that a person can experience. You know, there's people that hate to be tickled. Mm-hmm. Imagine being paralyzed and being tickled in a torturous manner. I mean, it was so awful, it hurt. And it went on and on and on. I can't tell you how long. It was minutes. I mean, it was 10, 15, 20 minutes. It was just forever. And the whole time, I'm trying to rouse Ben and Isaac, and I can hear myself, I'm thinking, don't look. Going through this, I'm trying to mouth, Ben, wake, because I wanted Ben and Isaac, because I thought if they wake up, it'll end. Mm-hmm. Because this is for me. Yeah. I wasn't worried about Ben and Isaac at that point. They're just messing with me. But I could never get him to, nothing was coming out. I was just making, Yeah. And yeah, that was horrible. That's when I found out within a couple of days of what was happening. Like what people call it, sleep paralysis.
Sleep paralysis. Mm-hmm. How old were you when that happened?
39.
39?
Yeah.
And that was when you started to really kind of figure things out in your mind.
With the sleep paralysis, yeah. That's when things started to make sense. And it wasn't until we came back from that camping trip. I remember I'd just gotten out of the hospital for kidney failure and we went up to the Uintas. And I couldn't walk. Remember, I couldn't walk because my feet were so swollen. And we got back and we had unpacked everything. We were so tired. We just left everything in the front room. And I was exhausted because I hadn't slept. Because remember, they'd given me the water pills to make me pee. And I was
got up several times in the night and went out of the tent to pee.
And I never slept that whole trip.
You were pretty miserable, weren't you?
And I came home and I finally slept. Everybody went to their rooms and I just fell asleep on the couch. It was just within a couple of minutes it started. Again, the sleep paralysis. This was the last attack I had. Mm-hmm. And at this point, I've had dozens of, incidences where this happened. And as soon as it happened, as soon as I start to feel it, I would usually wait till I was fully enveloped in the experience before I'd start to struggle with it. But I remember kind of lifting my head up just a little bit, rolling my eyes and saying, are we going to do this again out loud before I was completely stymied? And it stopped. And I don't fear it anymore. I don't have any fear of the sleep paralysis because I know what it is. It's nothing of consequence. It's not going to hurt me. They're just there to, whatever it is, whatever their intentions are, whatever their goal is, whatever they're trying to get out of it, they're not going to get from me anymore because I have no fear of that anymore. So it hasn't happened since.
We've talked about these things and, I put a spin on it. I usually bring in a religious spin, and I've talked to you about how there is this belief that enmity is put between Satan and man so that man will hate Satan and hate what's evil. With that enmity, God gave man power to crush Satan's head. Satan was given power to bruise man's heel. Satan says, well, I will then take that enmity for man to hate me, and I will get them to turn it in on themselves, getting them to hate one another because they don't disassociate the behavior with the person. So they hate the person, and then they can crush each other's heads. Mm. And then maybe even you could hate yourself, self-loathe, because you are sinning. If you're sinning, then you're going to hate yourself, maybe feel a lot of guilt because of that, turn that inwardly and want to destroy oneself. Mm. Either way, we have the power to crush each other's heads. He can only bruise our heel. Right. The reason I'm getting into that is you recognize that whatever that entity was had no real power over you. No. Maybe to the extent that it could bruise one's heel. We've talked about twice, that. Yeah. But you definitely were more powerful than the entity. Once you came to that realization, it was no big deal after that.
Yeah, I was just fed up. I was fed up at that point. I was tired of experiencing that, and slowly afterwards I realized that, Satan, and I give him credit for being Satan. He is here. He is real. Mm-hmm. King of this world. Mm-hmm. He was given that. But I don't fear him. I don't fear what he can do. I mean, what's he going to do? Tempt me with what? Some drugs and some alcohol? I mean, it's like you said, he has no power. He only has the power that we give him. It's like people that believe in voodoo, somebody that believes in voodoo gets hexed or gets a doll made and they get poked or burned and they experience those sensations, whether it's a placebo effect or it's their sincere belief. I know Satan has no power over me, and I don't fear what he can do. I don't worry about, I used to be afraid to say my prayers out loud because I didn't want him to hear what I was saying. Mm-hmm. So I'd keep them all in my head. Well, that's past, I don't care if he can hear me. He watches me all the time. He's aware of what I'm doing, what my intents are, the direction I'm headed. And, he can throw obstacles up, sure. But I don't know. I don't want to say too much, sounding overconfident in my ability to combat Satan, because he is the ultimate deceiver, right? And maybe I'm lulled into a false sense of security. I don't know. But I feel like he has no power over me. The only power he has is what I give him. And what I struggle with now has nothing to do with him. Mm-hmm. It has to do with me and God. It's got nothing to do with him. He's out of the picture as far as that goes. He can't impede that journey. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting that you have a very strong belief in Satan. Yeah. You felt some power afflicting you, right?
I'm already living in hell. I can't imagine it being worse. I'm separated from God, it feels like already. I deal with this physical illness every day that's devastated everything in my life. I deal with mental illness on top of that. I am in hell.
Well, and we've talked about how, from a religious perspective, when we leave heaven and we fall, the fall is going into Satan's territory.
Exactly.
And, he was cast out of heaven with a third part of the host of heaven, and he came to the earth first. This is his realm. And then we're born via, the birth vehicle into a physical body into his world. The physical body perhaps gives us power to crush a spiritual entity's head, but the spiritual entity still has the ability to influence, perhaps metaphorically, bruise one's heel. Sure. But there's this battle going on, and we've got to escape, or at least the challenge is we're already in his territory. We're already fallen. The purpose, perhaps from a religious perspective, is to escape this fallen state and be redeemed from the fall.
But that's my question. Are you done? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm done. Uh-huh.
Well, I was just going to say that's where I have an issue with it, because we are supposed to experience this, right? We signed on for this, right? Whether I feel duped or not, I signed on for it. And but we also have our agency. Mm-hmm. And I know for myself that my agency has allowed me to decide whether or not to go to get a Coke right now, or take my own life. Let's go to the far extreme, and I've exercised that. But, and I blame God for this, as bad as that sounds, that I didn't get to do that. Like he intervened or something did that has to do with him on some level. And I'm angry about that. And I feel like I've experienced what I need to experience here. I feel like, what else is there for me? I've gotten, I've gained, I've lost, and now I'm just floating, like I was when I had that near-death experience, the one I can actually recall, where I'm just floating conscious. That's what I feel like right now. I'm just floating in this world with visual stimulation, and I'm still in that same place that I was in when I experienced, when I died, the last time. But I'm just here. I have my 5 senses about me, and I can make choices. But I still feel like I'm still floating as a consciousness through this world, right? I just feel like I'm floating, contributing nothing, taking away nothing, but adding burdens to people's lives. And I want an end to that.
You feel like you've lost meaning and purpose?
Absolutely.
There's another question I want to ask you. It's about your patriarchal blessing. You received that. There are some that would say that's all they really are, is a horoscope. Others say that they're very deeply personal and very meaningful and given by God. So depending on who you talk to, they have their truth. What do you think about yours? That's it for this episode of Bridge the Gap.
Truth seekers,